We are nearly 1 year removed from the Acolyte. I know it seems like it has been a lifetime ago, but yeah, this time last year, I think we were doing about the wrap up because I remember there was a little bit of overlap into Pride Month, and maybe we were at about the 1 year anniversary of Amanda Stenberg's incredibly cringe diss track on the fans. God, that was such a fun time, realistically, and I've gone back and I've watched a bunch of coverage of the Acolyte. I'm sure that there is, well, actually, that's, a very provable reality that more people watch the coverage of the Acolyte than the actual show itself. And yeah, even still in the interim, like shout out to EFAP and all of their coverage, like I've gone back and I've watched that supercut. I watched each episode as it was just, dropping at the time every week. And yeah, I think I've watched that supercut that they have, the 6 hours. Thank God for the ×2 speed on that one, because this show, holy crap, was it just devoid of content. And what was there? Like, it was just hypercharged. Okay. It was hyper concentrated cringe episode after episode, but for the most part, like for 25 minutes, there was legitimately nothing going on, just establishing shots and worthless dialogue and a whole lot of vacant expressions like Amanda has in that compositive screenshot right there. She's a really bad actor. Actually, that entire show was just festooned with really bad actors, except for Manny Jacinto, Lee Jung-jae, and Daphne Keane. Like, I know she's good in other things, but she was incredibly fine, at least for like the 5 episodes that she was there before she got turned into Jedi Swiss cheese. Well, Padawan Swiss cheese in her case, even though she was the best sword fighter and held her own against, a Sith, which is trying to make that one make sense. But yeah, 1 year later, you got Screen Rant out here saying, I'm still convinced audiences really overreacted to the Acolyte. No. It's the worst thing that Star Wars has ever done. Like 100% full stop. Like, it's not the most lore breaking. Okay, you could probably chalk that up to Obi-Wan, but the previous low water mark, I would think across the board, I think people would say the Book of Boba Fett show, something else that I recently watched back, and holy shit, man, like that was a slog. That was really bad. Okay, all of those flashbacks trying to humanize the Tusken Raiders. Like, what the fuck are we doing? But I guess that kind of presaged and foreshadowed what the Acolyte would try to do with the Sith, where they're just really misunderstood and they just want to tyrannize the galaxy, but they don't want the Jedi's cramping their style. They just want to have somebody to train in their own image to pervert the galaxy, and they just want to tell their own stories, and they just want to teach about their own interpretation of the Force and call it the thread, and they can worship around a big lesbian hole in the ground. It's just, hey man, audiences, they just overreacted to all of that bullshit. Sure thing, pal. What's your justification for this, Liz Declan? There's little doubt that The Acolyte became Star Wars' most controversial TV show. Well, it kind of set out to do that, and it very much accomplished it, and, well, by the time that it was all said and done, it just got laughed out of the building for how bad it was, a full stop. I'm still convinced that most of the backlash, to it was overstated. The Acolyte was released on June 4th. Really? Because I thought it started in May. But okay. Oh, no. It starred Mae and Osha. They were definitely different characters, definitely portrayed by different sides and different interpretations by Amanda Stenberg. But anyways, yeah, released June 4th and then ran until July 16th. Okay. It became one of the biggest hot button issues among all Star Wars movies and TV shows. Well, yeah, it tried to pervert everything that comes after it by implanting the idea that Plagueis, Darth Plagueis the Wise, got the idea to create Anakin by manipulating the Force because of lesbian space witches. It wanted to establish the presence of the Sith, a millennia, according to Ki-Adi-Mundi, who somehow Ki-Adi-Mundi returned years before he was even supposed to be born. Yeah, no, it just became a hot button issue that everybody overreacted to. Okay, this was particularly jarring. First, because it was meant to. Because that meant it had become even more controversial than the sequel trilogy. Yeah, because it was trying to pervert everything that would come after it. The sequel trilogy could really only screw up its own characters and bastardize, well, a lot of the OT stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, like, the sequel trilogy is probably still more hated, but the Acolyte long term, like, if you just really put everything on a big enough time scale, has the potential to be the most damaging. the overall lore, but okay. And second, because of the vitriolic nature of the backlash. Oh my god, some even before the show aired. Yeah, because we got the promotional material, because we got the idea and we got the plot synopsis before we seen everything. It was like, ooh, that's a really stupid idea, but okay, it could be good. And then yeah, we got the first trailer where it's like, close your eyes, and then they show a Rodian in the background who doesn't have any fucking eyelids, and it's like, oh great, this is handled by professionals. But he has a negative reaction to the showrunner. Oh right, yeah, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant Leslye Headland, who has never done anything approaching this, but Star Wars definitely saved her life, guys, trust me on that. The actors, yes, talentless Amanda Stenberg, Leslye Headland's wife, playing Jedi Master Vernestra Rwoh, and yes, teaser trailers began early. Yes, a teaser and trailers that were so poorly put together, it spoiled the reveal of twins. It's like, this entire show was just such a clusterfuck that we're only still scraping the surface of how much of just a catastrophic mess this was. I doubt the sincerity of criticism of the Acolyte, in part because it was intense backlash was happening before the show even released. In fact, before we had a trailer, some in the fan base were angry that Leslye Headland was the showrunner. Yeah, because she doesn't have a pedigree, and we've been around the track long enough, okay? We have seen what other people with even just a little bit more experience have been able to do. Deborah Chow directed an episode of The Mandalorian, which for whatever reason people thought was acceptable Star Wars content, and you know what they did? They gave her the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Good choice on that one. Bryce Dallas Howard, for whatever fucking reason, continues to get work in this franchise. We see when a nepo hire in the industry gets the opportunity to work in the confines of Star Wars, it never produces anything of substance, of quality. So yeah, people had their red flags. She could buck the trend, of course. She didn't, but she could have, as she was seen as a so-called woke choice. Well, I mean, everything that she talks about is either about herself, and then when it's about herself, it's all about her queer identity. So yeah, if the shoe fits, stick your genitals in it. And we're equally outraged by the diversity of the cast. Nobody was. That's just astroturfing. There was a far from the first time the fan base has expressed anger over racial diversity. Oh, shut your fucking mouth. Yeah, see, the rest of the stuff is just bullshit, okay? Because there was legitimate criticism to this stuff. It was handled by incompetent morons, and you thought, oh god, it's going to be bad, and then it just ended up being worse than you expected. So yeah, of course, they're still bitching about it. A year later, everybody overreacted, and that's why we're now going to have to clarify this. 1 year later, the Acolyte is officially not returning. Guys, shut up. Stop it. It's like Snyder fans, okay? Hey, guys, even if James Gunn's Superman is a total disaster, Snyder's not coming back. You can try to bot it. You can try to brigade Superman as much as you want. Snyder can go and continue to wallow in obscurity, flesh out the rest of his scripts to his double trilogy for the Rebel Mooniverse, but he's never coming back, and the Acolyte is never coming back. And you know what? Honestly, like, for as much outrage and upset and laughs that we had for the Acolyte, I do lament the fact that we're not officially going to be getting season 2 of the Acolyte, because just think how stupid it could be. Oh my god. We could really see how Leslye Headland was going to screw up the Yoda. That would be so much fun. Ooh, they could have made Yoda a cuck. They could have had Yaddle and... Oh, yeah, because Yaddle and Vernestra Rwoh could also force scissor, and then that could create Baby Grogu. Oh my god, that could have been so great. Or they could have had, Darth Plagueis when Osha and Smilo Ren come back to Unknown Planet, and Plagueis is still in his goon cave. He could just sit in the bushes and just watch them exchange force saliva in his little grotto where he washes off his Asian penis that Amandla couldn't help but look at. And Leslye made odd framing choices to include in the show to just really reinforce that, yet she looked at his dick as he was coming out of the water. It's a very strange show. But just think of everything that could have been messed up, and we could have actually got a conclusion on how they could go ahead and squared the circle of how Vernestra Rwoh pinned all of the crimes on Sol, who got force choked, or encouraged Osha to force choke him to death. How she could have got away with pinning all of the deaths of the other Jedi on Sol, even though you had the bartender go out there and positively identify, well, at least he thought it was Mae. Thought it was Osha, but really it was Mae, the other twin that was out there. Or how Basil is out there and he knows everything that's going on, but I guess those are just going to be left open-ended. Oh well, the tie-in books. Okay, sorry folks. Any reports claiming the Acolyte is officially returning just aren't legit. What's actually happening is that the Acolyte is getting a few tie-in books released this week. Really? Where, much like the series itself, no one will be buying them. Well, yeah, just like the High Republic that Disney launched back in, was it 2013? 2013 or something like that, and literally nobody bought the books. They continue to print them, but they just continue to collect dust on Barnes and Noble shelves. But that doesn't mean the show is coming back. The Acolyte is one of the least watched Star Wars show on Disney+. It also tanked interest in Skeleton Crew, which isn't getting a season 2 either. Yeah, so funny, right? Like, where were the bigots for that one? Because Skeleton Crew actually got worse viewing figures than the Acolyte. So what was it? Just everybody who was just ageist, right? Ageist for that one. Or maybe they were racist because they didn't want to see Jude Law, a straight white guy, in Star Wars. Wait, it's almost like their narratives are falling apart. Series received massive backlash from fans over its poor storyline. There aren't many fans online asking for more. Actually, it's just the opposite. Most want nothing to do with the Acolyte. I disagree. I want more because shit's funny. It's the lowest rated Star Wars series on Rotten Tomatoes and just about every aggregate review site with a 19% audience score. The lead actress also sparked a lot of controversy. Well, yeah, the lead actresses, you should probably say, because you had Jodie Turner-Smith, on multiple occasions. That's, the Nazgul in episode 7 come out and say, oh yeah, no, it's just a bunch of racist fans. And then you also had Vernestra Rwoh, Leslye Headland's wife, come out and say stuff on top of everything that Amanda Stenberg did. Even, Disney admits the Acolyte will not return. It wasn't where we needed it to be, given the cost structure of that title, quite frankly, to go and make a season 2. So that's the reason why we didn't do that, admitted Alan Bergman, who serves as Disney's co-chair of Disney Entertainment back in December. Per the executive's words, The Acolyte was an expensive show to produce. Recently saw, Andor creator Tony Gilroy offers up that Disney told him that they're broke. So, just as was gone over, that means no more $200 million plus shows. Because the original season, the only season 1 of The Acolyte, got $230 million after Leslye Headland said, oh yeah, it cost 180, and it cost 180 million. But she didn't specify that was 180 million pounds. So that means that we're likely to get UK tax records on that. Man, those should be showing up sometime soon. Okay, because I would very much like to know. Because I would imagine, that $230 million, it's probably just keeping on with tradition of other Lucasfilm and Disney projects of them once again underreporting what the actual cost of these projects are, knowing just how hilariously this thing underperformed The Acolyte, The High Republic, and Star Wars in general. Even though Andor continues to top Nielsen charts and does extremely well in viewing figures, Star Wars is dead, bro. Like, there's no two ways about it. Nobody's going to be watching Ahsoka Season 2. It's going to be hilarious when the box office comes in for Mandalorian and Grogu, and we're going to see the damage, the full damage that The Acolyte didn't start, but it definitely contributed to. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.